Nigeria's agricultural sector is a critical component of the country's economy, contributing up to 21.07% to the GDP, with crop production alone accounting for 19.24% of this figure. But while the agricultural sector has shown good growth rates in recent years, productivity remains low, with 80% of farm holdings being small scale. More recently, is the introduction of genetically modified organisms, they call them GMOs, and they've emerged as a contentious issue in Nigeria's agricultural landscape. Proponents argue that GMOs can boost crop yield and enhance food security, while opponents raise concerns about potential environmental and health risk. Let's break this down further. I'm being joined live from the UK by the researcher and agribusiness economist, Dr. Matthew Ojo. Good afternoon, Dr. Ojo, and it's good to have you on the program despite your tight schedules.
Good afternoon, Tolu, and good afternoon to our viewers at home. Nice to be here once again.
Yes, I think we need to start with something that you've always said before now, promoting household farming, a household practicing of crop cultivation. A report by NBS shows that there's been an increase with regards to that in this part of the world. Now, I want to ask you in two folds. What do you make of efforts of this administration so far, and what role would self or household farming help contribute to food security in Nigeria?
Well, that's a two-in-one. Thank you, Tolu. First of all, what do I make of this administration's commitment in terms of agriculture? Honestly, if you ask me, it's difficult to really assess anything positively, unfortunately. That's my personal view. Because when you look at performance, if you remember, I've said it on your program before, performance is judged based on indices or indicators, all right? And if you remember very well, vividly, it was around this time last year, June to be precise, that this administration came up and did something that I found very, very positive. I was happy when it declared a state of emergency in terms of food security in Nigeria. And the administration reeled out, activities or actions or targets they wanted to achieve. So the question we will first ask ourselves, how has that panned out over the past 12 months? It's a year now since that declaration was made. Now, if you look at when that declaration came out, it was in June last year. The food inflation as at then was around 24.86%. What is food inflation for May this year? It's around almost 45%. So we look at that, something is not going on well. This administration reeled out about 12 points. One of them says they want to increase security measures for farmers. How has that panned out so far? Do we have more security, better security for farmers? Is it improved? Okay, CBN to fund agricultural value chain. Is there funding going into agricultural value chain currently? Okay, they want to cultivate 500,000 hectares, okay, of food crops. What has happened to the 150,000 hectares of maize? What about that of wheat? Where are we now? You see, most of the crops we produce or we consume in Nigeria, they are annual crops. So if something has been done over a year, by now we should be even planting another. We should have harvested. Okay, let's agree that for logistics, there are now certain things to take up as at then. Where are we now? So when it's difficult to really see that commitment, really, because I have a challenge with proclaiming or coming out to tell the populace you want to do something. And over time, we have not seen, we can't even measure, we don't even know at what stage we are in, then it's disturbing. Just coming to tell me that NBS says household food production has increased. Okay, what does that amount to? It contributes, I understand. But what about the commitment of the federal government? What about the commitment of the state government? See, so when that declaration was made, I expected certain things to happen. The state government will fall in line and also come and declare that emergency in their state and say, because this has been declared by the federal government, we are putting out so number of hectares, we are calling people to come and take advantage of these facilities. and produce. Food production is not something we argue about. You see it, and the nation feels it in terms of price, in terms of availability, in terms of accessibility. But when we just like to reel out one or two statistics that doesn't read the room or doesn't tell of reality, then we begin to wonder why we have government in the first place. So that is my take in terms of judging or looking at the performance of this current administration. I don't see commitment in really boosting food production as we expected, and I can't see the fruits of it after 1 year. Let nobody come and tell me it's just early days. 1 year is enough in the agricultural sector to at least start seeing either the harvest of what you planted or some efforts yielding results. Pending the time you'll be able to erode some of the challenges we've had over the years. So that's my take in terms of assessment. Then in terms of whether households are beginning to increase their food production, I've said it before, that we cannot continually rely on production of food from the rural areas. So we in the urban centers, or people or individually, should make efforts to also grow what they consume. I put it to you, over the past few months, there have been arguments about spending billions of naira in areas that will yield collective good for the nation. For example, instead of spending 21 billion to renovate a single person's accommodation or structure, why have we pumped 21 billion into ensuring that there's increased food production in the country, especially promoting urban agriculture? We are challenged, I understand, in terms of rural food production because of insecurity. What about investing heavily in boosting urban agriculture? And that is closely related to the figures you read out from MBS. So I think we have not yet started, and it doesn't seem we want to start. If we are really concerned about increasing food production in the country, we know what to do.
Let's take it up from where you stopped, because I know that we've talked about this at a time where analysts have argued that government doesn't necessarily need to throw money at all problems. Let's look at what happened during the former CBN governor and the agricultural schemes, the rice farming thing, like you mentioned, wheat farming. We saw a lot of concentration around some specified kind of food crops. At that time, staple food and all of that. But many will tell you that at the end of the day, we still know what a bag of rice is at the market as at today. So if throwing money at it is not the solution, what level of sincerity, what level of commitment are we expecting from both sides? Now, I'm talking about government and private sector guys. All Nigerians want is to get food on their table, and also at an affordable rate.
Yes, all Nigerians want is to get food on their table. Let's put it this way. An average smallholder farmer is willing to do his own business, produce for his household, and then sell the excess to the farm. And you have smallholder farmers who also concentrate to take it to the market. So what is their challenge, or what are their challenges? I will tell you, the major challenge an average household farmer will face is the cost of inputs, all right? Cost of input as it concerns maybe fertilizer, maybe concerns herbicides, and also to purchase some seeds if they don't have. So that is where, government all over the world usually will come in to try and subsidize inputs, production input for farmers. Not about throwing money. When you subsidize production input for farmers, they will produce themselves. And then when they are also guaranteed that when they produce in excess, there will be somebody who takes it off them and then they get paid, they are also assured. These two ends currently are missing in Nigeria. So when you say you pump money to agriculture and you don't see the result, why you don't see the result is that because 70 to 80% of those funds they come to announce on TV goes to political farmers. And you and I know this. I have worked in that space before, and I understand what I'm saying, Tolu. This is not any kind of propaganda. This is reality. Those funds hardly get to those who need them. And because they don't get to those who need them, we are not seeing the results. So if you subsidize inputs for farmers, you have a mechanism where they get the seed they need. they get the fertilizer as when they need them, they get the appropriate land space for them to cultivate, people are ready to produce, if not for anything, but to feed their own families. But you don't have all that, and then you want to see a result. That's why we have all this trump up and displayed results of what is not operating in reality. That's why we saw pyramid of rice few months ago or years ago, and rice is expensive because the money actually didn't get to where it ought to get to. So there are many issues to address. And I don't like focusing only on the federal government, because I am also concerned that many state governments are not taking this challenge head on to do something in terms of boosting agricultural production in their domain. Listen, there is no federal hunger, all right? People who are hungry are located in states. There are households located in a particular state. So if there is no federal hunger, why must state government wait for only federal government to address hunger, situation? And that is the challenge here. So we need to start thinking how to rejig this current structure. I've always talked about structure, where the federal government is on a different lane and the state government is on a different lane. We won't see the results we want. And that is what is playing out here now. Hunger all over the land.
The issue of data is also something I think we need to touch on today, Dr. Ojo, because I know you also harp so much on that. Now, how much of data do we have with regards to the entire sector? That's one. And how do you think this can help policymakers, investors, shareholders, stakeholders and all in the agricultural space? How can accurate data help them make informed decisions surrounding the sector? Because we keep hearing 1 billion naira for fertilizer. At the end of the day, tomatoes is not cheaper at my end. Whatever onions, as we go about, everyone keeps talking about these prices in the market. So what really do you think, how can data also help us, we strategize and replan our agricultural sector in its entirety?
Thank you very much. I think the importance of data cannot be overemphasized. All right, we all know the importance of data. It helps us to be able to measure. We measure progress. We're able to know when there's a problem. We're able to also form policies from it, like what you said. How I wish, Tolu, that you are asking this question and you are directing this question to the Minister of Agric in Nigeria currently. What is he doing concerning data in Nigeria, especially in the agricultural space? How much of data does he have to be able to make the right decision? And if he doesn't have the right or correct or quality data, what is he doing? Those are the questions you people in the media should be asking these ministers. He is a minister of agriculture. What has he done concerning data in the last 1 year? If he says he's done something, everybody will see it. So apart from these challenges we're having, where we cannot have accurate data to measure progress, we also need to look back at what we have done or we need to do to improve data. Currently, I don't see so much effort in that area. And that is why decision-making, they are usually based on assumptions. For example, I just told you what the government read out in that, what's it called, the declaration as it concerns emergency in food security. Most of those statements there are open statements. You hardly see we will increase this so by so percent. They are open statements. An open statement, you cannot measure, you cannot decide whether progress is being made because nobody told you this is the target. That is the challenge with data. I don't want to believe that this administration doesn't take data seriously. I know there are talks around whether or not statistics will drop and all that, but nobody will be able to measure progress without statistics, without data. What we are talking about MBS now is also data. So I think that we already know what data can help us do. We are just not willing to invest. And until we invest, we will not be able to measure progress or performance, and then we will not be able to make the right policy decisions to improve agriculture in Nigeria.
Our conversation is always so interesting and time is not always letting us get all the best of it. But let's quickly touch on GMOs, genetically modified organisms. This is also another talk in town. But my concern is, what really is that impact? People are talking about the environment and, of course, even the health of humans. What do you make of that aspect of agriculture at this time?
In terms of GMO, the question is it GMO we need at this particular point in time? My direct and simple answer is no. Now, there are issues around GMO. There are well-documented reports and also publications concerning the benefits and the risk associated with GMOs. And they are all well, I'm not against any GMO issue is from this perspective. So do listen, of all the cost concern an average smallholder farmer has, all right, seed is the least. They usually prepare their seeds. They have a way of preparing what to plant for next season. So that is not usually part of a huge expense for an average farm, smallholder. When you bring a GMO seed, all right, like the maize and the teller seed they came and launched, you are creating another layer of expense or cost for the farmer, which it doesn't have. I have worked with farmers, very poor farmers, and we also know that there is National Seed Council of Nigeria that is tasked with that vision or mission of ensuring that quality planting materials are distributed or are available. Farmers could not even purchase some of these registered seeds. When we told them they are high quality, they will help your yield, they said they don't have the money. They would rather manage with the little they have, even though those ones will give them low yield. So look at that, Tolu. They can hardly afford the naturally improved seeds that we have registered in Nigeria for them to have good yield. You are bringing another layer of GMO seeds that they cannot afford. It's usually expensive. And for the fact that you cannot replant most of them, it becomes challenging. We had some of them with our farmers when I was working down Southwest. And they were using them to plant things like fruits and others. But they couldn't afford it. And because they couldn't replant, they had to drop them. So look at it. Apart from the health issues, this layer of cost you are introducing, farmers can attend to it. Okay? You have a farming population that is poor and hungry, and GMO seeds at this time will not solve the problem. So what I think we can do is this. Nigerian government should find a way of subsidizing farming inputs for farmers. Let's grow what we have naturally first. And then we can now see that our farmers are rich enough. If they decide they want to go for GMO seeds, fine. However, GMO seeds are being banned in so many countries. Now we need to place the layer of safety, also regulation, also labeling. But we don't have all this as far as Nigeria is concerned. So please, I don't think GMO will solve our problem now. What we need is we have enough seeds. Government support farmers, subsidize input, and then help them to produce. I think that's a better way to end this discussion too.
Well, interesting conversation as usual with you. I must thank you for your time. I've been speaking to a researcher. He's also an agribusiness economist, Dr. Matthew Ojo. Thank you so much. He joined us from the United Kingdom to help break down issues surrounding agriculture in Africa's most populous nation. Do enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Tolu.